Okay. He rented a minivan for 4 days in Tampa. So let's talk about the price of this minivan. It's for 4 days, 88 even per day. .20 per mile over 200 miles. Day one, he drove how many miles? Day two. Day three. Day four. 140. CDW fee is $18.50 per day. Gas, he spent $61.83. So as you can see, lots of time, it's not as simple as when you go to a site and look, okay, how much is this car going to cost to rent? There's other things. You know, big thing is you always want to fill it up before you give it to them, because they charge you about $10 a gallon if you hand it to them empty, because you're supposed to bring it to them full. Okay? So basically, we're supposed to find the total cost. And cost per mile. And really all this is just a bunch of kind of figuring out how much each fee was, right? First of all, what's the total amount of miles we drove? What does all that add up to? Yeah, that's right. 410. Because there's only 5 and 5 in the ones place.
Sure, I put in my calculator, I got 420.
Well,
I got 422.
yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. 420. I was thinking it came out to even 400 and then a 10. But anyway, okay, total cost. Well, so we kind of have everything we need. The total cost, well, first things first, your basic cost, it's 88 per day. How many days?
4.
So 4 times what? That's how much it costs per day. Plus, let's talk about the mileage now. We've taken care of those two. Let's talk about the mileage. It's 20 cents per mile over what? 200. How many did we drive? So how many miles do we pay for?
220.
Does everybody see how I got that? I subtracted 200 from 420. Because the first 200 miles I don't have to pay 20 cents per mile, do I? Plus my CDW fee, which is what? $18.50 per what? So how many days? 4 days, $18.50. And then gas, which is what? $61.83. So let's just start simplifying. What's 4 times 88? Chop chop. What do you get?
352.
Plus, what is 0.20, 0.2 times 220?
44.
Huh, 44? Plus, what is 4 times 1850?
74.
Plus 6183. Our total cost is what all of those are added together, is it not? And what is that?
531.82.
That's part A. Cost per mile. That's our total cost, which is what? 531.83 divided by our number of miles. Now, it doesn't say number of miles you paid for, just your total what? Miles. So how many total miles do we drive?
420.
What do you get as an answer?
1.2662651.
So $1.27.
Yeah.
So every time you drove a mile, you're spending $1.27.
That's good, right?
To be honest, I haven't read enough cars to really know, or I just think of the total cost. Because sometimes when you rent a car, if you don't do a bunch of driving, you'll be impressed how much it'll cost per mile. Because if you don't drive a bunch, you see what I'm saying? But that is a way of the way to think about this, why this is important, is there were times when renting cars was cheap enough where I think there was a time one time my parents to drive to Florida or something, instead of using their own vehicle, they rented one.
Wow.
Well, because the cost it was going to cost them per mile, the wear and tear on their vehicle and using their vehicle was more than what the cost per mile was going to be to rent it. Because the gas is a wash if it gets roughly the same gas mileage, and it's whether, sometimes if they gave you unlimited miles, well, now you're not paying per mile, right? Because that does happen sometimes, And I think that's probably why they did it. And then, if the price for 2 weeks was this, it was cheaper than, taking their own vehicle.
Plus, after 2-3 miles, you're paying for a gallon of gas anyway.
Yeah. How, what was the numbers?
My canvas hasn't been working for me.
Okay.
So we gave
I think
one
it,
through
I think it was 1 through 13, but I can double check.
I'll check too. I'm just pulling it up. I'll have it. 1 through 13. Or no, that's 1 through 12. All right. I think there's people that still do that as far as renting instead of